From the Woodshed, a casual conversation with Chase Morrill and Ryan Eldridge from Kennebec Cabin Company, the team that inspired the hit show Maine Cabin Masters. From the Woodshed is brought to you by Nelma, see the stamp, trust the quality. By Hero Media Arts, connecting small business with new customers. And by Hammond Lumber, your building project partner. Now, from the Woodshed Studios at KCC headquarters in Manchester, Maine, it's Chase and Ryan.
From the Woodshed, I'm Chase Morrill. With me, as always, Ryan Eldridge. And today, our special guest filling in for Maggie Morrill is Nori Morrill.
Hi, Nori.
Hi.
Are you nervous?
No.
Joining us along with Nori today is Jodie Mosher-Towle. She's the president of the North Pond Lake Association. She's going to talk to us about Lake Smart and what we need to do to help keep Maine lakes and ponds clean and beautiful for generations to come. You can find us at KennebecCabinCompany.com, MaineCabinMasters.com, our Facebook page, our Instagram page, YouTube. Check out our online store at shop.KennebecCabinCompany.com. And we always want to thank our sponsors and our viewers and everybody for tuning in and listening. Our sponsor is Nelma. You can find more at nelma.org, easternwhitepine.org, sprucepinefir.org, heromediaarts.com, and Hammond Lumber Company, the official building material supplier of Kennebec Cabin Company.
I would need a glass of water after that.
Now we can get down to the good
Chase
stuff.
starts it out with...
Nori, what have you been up to?
Nothing much. Skiing.
Skiing. You've been remote for the past week.
Yep.
Do you enjoy remote learning?
I mean, I like it better than going to school, but I feel like I don't get much done.
We love Nori because she's very honest.
So, but your classmates are your sisters, and well, not Fletcher and Maggie are the only ones who've been Maggie goes 2 days a week. Fletcher goes 4 days a week. So, Eva and Nori are
Home
all the time.
Nice. Home alone. So, where's Maggie today? Because everyone will know.
Maggie is at her ski race at Tickham's.
Nice.
She was super nervous.
She was?
Oh yeah. So I had to pick her up and bring her home to get her stuff. She's like, you have to pick me up at 12:58, and then I have to be back here at 1:15. I can't be late.
Was 17 minutes to do everything?
Oh no, sorry. I don't know, 1:45, but basically 50 minutes to get her home, get her stuff, and get her back there. And then she takes the bus up there. And
you run a world-renowned podcast, and you're worried about skiing? I mean, come on. But what a day to be skiing. It's gorgeous out.
Yeah. And Nori's on the ski team, the Farmington area ski team with Eva and Fletcher.
Yep.
Nice.
So yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah, hopefully there's more snow coming.
And Maggie's on the high school team or the...
Maggie's on the high school team.
Yeah. And Nori is your second oldest daughter.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we have one more daughter to get in here.
Yep.
We'll be desperate if we get Eva in here. She'll be giggling.
The day we get Eva in here, I will be shocked. But yeah, they've been spending a lot of time with our bunnies. We're down to 12.
Tell the bunny story. I think it's pretty funny.
You want me to tell it?
Yeah.
Well, there's not much to it, but basically we have 2 rabbits, and one day my younger sister, heard squeaking from inside the cage, and she looked, and we had like 7 baby rabbits.
Yep.
Out of the blue, and then it happened again.
Well, first of all, how long until you separated 2 rabbits because you knew what happened? Your mom said it was
as soon as we saw
it was like an
instantaneous separation.
Instantaneous separation.
I mean, the rabbits were maybe a day or 2 old.
And you guys thought you were out of the woods.
Yep. And it was great. It was fun. We had 7 baby rabbits.
Yeah.
It was new. And
then what happened?
Then another day later on, we heard squeaking again, and we looked, and we had more baby rabbits.
Yep.
So kids learned a good lesson.
20 days later.
That's crazy. It takes a 4-week gestation period.
Yeah. But they're awfully fun. They're awfully cute. We've gotten rid of a few of them.
Yeah. Few left.
Yep. 12 left, I think, now.
Yeah.
12 left? Anyone out there wants a rabbit, send us a podcast ad.
Yeah. I brought a couple over yesterday because we were filming in the barn.
Oh, yeah.
I was doing a repack, and I brought them over there. I'm like, here, Evan, your son would love a rabbit. I was like, here, Ken, your daughter would love a rabbit. Rob, your daughters would love some rabbits.
You just got to take a picture of them and send it to their wives.
Yeah. But Rob had, like, 2 days before gotten guinea pigs.
Oh. I think I'd rather have a rabbit than a guinea pig, wouldn't you?
Yes. Rabbits are wonderful. Everybody needs one.
Yeah, but I mean, rabbits seem natural. Where did the guinea pigs exist in the wild?
Yeah, in Peru. I've eaten guinea pig.
You have?
Dad.
Yeah.
Was it good?
I mean,
Tastes like chicken.
yeah.
Interesting. That's a good fact
I think
about.
I've eaten rabbit.
Yes.
Wild Bill wants to know those rabbits if nothing happens to him. He's all excited about rabbits too.
Yeah, I think maybe in Italy or somewhere like that we had rabbit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've had rabbit, alligator. It all does taste
Yeah,
like chicken.
absolutely.
I don't. Oh, I shouldn't say this. I was gonna. Someone talked about eating horse the other day because they eat it in Europe, right?
Yes.
I don't know if I could do that. I've eaten like frog legs and oxtail, eyeballs, bull balls, literally Rocky
Yep.
Mountain oysters, but I don't think I could do horse, and I definitely couldn't eat dog.
Yeah. Well, when we were in Italy, they said, right, if there's a horse head above the restaurant, it meant they served horse meat. I don't think we went to any of them, but
Interesting.
Yeah.
Just different cultures.
that's right. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Don't knock it till you try it.
That's right. After this break, we'll be right back with our guest, Jodie Mosher-Towle, president of the North Pond Association.
But before that, we got another cool hero video. This week features Roger Merchant, and he's an Appalachian trail maintainer. So what he does, he takes a section of trail, and that's his baby, picks after it, cleans it, and just all around takes care of it. So check this out. It's really cool.
If you put one of them wildlife radio tracking collars on me, you would find me right here in Blanchard. There's days that I've come up here with no tools, just me, and I'll sit under the tree for an hour and kind of just have my meditative afternoon, which is good. Now, I've been doing trail maintenance on the AT since the early 1980s. I initially started out, I just did it myself and with some friends and stuff like that, but I'd always been hiking as a kid, so this was something I figured I could give back to keep something good, like this footpath here that goes from Taunton to Georgia. Man, what a haul that is. Whew. In clearing a trail, every situation you come into, it's novel, it's different. It's not like Paul Bunyan at all. You've got to read the wood, the lay of the land, the tension, and you got to figure out where to place your cuts. You just don't go running into any site. Hauling the chainsaw and cutting these large blowdowns, I can tell you, I really learned to up my game a bit in terms of safety. And there's some days where it's like, oh man, I got to do that, and because it's tough. You got to come out here and put up with these black flies, man, and they're chewing you up, and you're hauling a chainsaw and clearing the way. But I've got a legacy with this section, and I'm glad to be a part of it. And as long as I can do it, have the capacity, and can function safely out here, I'll do it. When I get to a point where I can't do that, and then I'll let it go. Yeah, it's like that. To be responsible for my own well-being. Yeah.
Another great video by Hero Media. Man, Roger puts the time in on those trails, doesn't he?
Absolutely.
Quite a labor of love.
Yeah, for sure. And our guest today is Jodie Mosher-Towle.
Hey, Jodie.
Hi,
How are you?
I'm doing great. Can't wait to educate you.
Well, before you educate us, we have one question for you. Would you like a virtual coffee, water, or beer? Or what are you having for a virtual beverage?
I'm going to have a virtual beer. I happen to have a dementia dog.
Oh, those are
But,
nice.
but look, it's from Bigelow Brewing. My friends own it.
Nice.
She's got a Woodshed tasting room koozie.
Been there, done that.
Nice. We've actually had some dementia dogs. One of the guys on the crew. Oh, there's my water. I'm doing a nice dry January.
Yay. I'm so glad for you. I'm
Cheers.
proud of you.
It's not over yet.
Do we do it? Do we do it? Cheers.
Oh, and a nice root
So
beer.
you tried a dementia dog, Ryan?
I have, but BT, who's on our crew, loves Dementia Dog. And there's a bunch of Dementia Dog stickers on his trailer and on a couple other ones. So there's Bigelow Brewing.
It's a double IPA.
Are they out of, where are they out of?
They're in Skowhegan. Went to high school with them.
Nice. Yeah, so today.
I'm not going to use a glass. I'm sorry.
Oh, there you go.
I am.
And
Is it
today
okay?
we have our niece,
Cheers.
Nori.
Cheers.
Cheers. Cheers, Nori.
Cheers.
Well, thanks for coming on.
Thank you for having me. Because of the way that we met, I wasn't sure that you were going to remember.
We apparently met. I do remember we met at the Woodshed. It was a good afternoon. We were having a good time, and Friday afternoon. But sometimes I remember when you think. When after I meet people, I turn around and put it in my phone.
So, Jodie, you are the president of the North Pond Association.
I am.
You want to tell us a little bit about what the association is and what they do?
So most of the lakes in the state of Maine have an association. And it is where a number of people from around the lake, you don't have to be on the lake, become members. So we form a 501c3 association. We take care of many things around the lake, all volunteer boards. Nobody gets paid usually. And we're one of the 7 lakes of the Belgrade watershed. And we're part of the 7 Lakes Alliance. So where the East Pond feeds into North Pond, which feeds into Great Pond, and so on. So you just did your first episode was on East Pond, your premiere this year.
Yep.
So East Pond runs into my pond through the Serpentine.
Oh, the Serpentine.
Right.
That's that little chute with the little dam. Looks.
Yeah.
Yep,
Used
cool.
to wakeboard there first thing in the morning when I used to work at Camp Matoka with all the guys. So fun.
Oh, nice.
Anyway, and go barefooting. So on my lake, we have our lake association, and one of the reasons that I wanted to be on was because of best management practices and how important they are. And you guys, renovating your cabins and such, would really benefit from learning about what best management practices are, what Lake Smart is. And we had an algae bloom on our lake last year. The DEP didn't deem the one before that a real bloom because it was 2 meters or less, 2 meters or more of visibility. I won't get too deep for you guys.
Yep.
And then the year before we bloomed as well, but late in the summer. So this year, the COVID summer, last 2020, we had a bloom early in the summer. And so everybody wanted to come to the lakes. We had a lot of, jet skis that weren't usually here. And we had a lot of people complaining to me like it was my fault. But a lot of times blooms happen because of overuse of the land, lack of buffers. Are you buff enough? Is a workshop that we came up with on North Pond to increase awareness. Because Lake Smart is great, but when you have cabins, you guys do a lot of cabins that are really close to the water.
Yep.
And a lot of times there's not a lot of, if I could turn my camera, you can see my frontage. We have, riprap, and we let our plants all grow, and that helps stop runoff from going into the lake, which has phosphorus and other nutrients. And when that free flows into the water, it causes an imbalance of nutrients. So you have a nutrient overload, and usually it's phosphorus that's causing the lake to go green because there's too much of it in there, and the plants stop the flow.
And so an algae bloom is, basically it's algae, it's blooming. They can happen any time of the year. Is that, you said there was an early one this last year. What are the, obviously they're not good, but what are the ramifications from that? Yeah. What are the ramifications from the algae blooms and all
really
that?
Warm temperatures, stagnant water, no wind, no turning over of the water. And, when you have a microburst of rain and it washes all of, the horses go, people that are riding horses on the side of the road, if they leave their, their droppings there or dog poop or whatever, it washes somewhere. As you know from Dory, all water leads to the ocean. And so everything that's draining and running down your driveway, if it's just free flowing in and it's brown, it's full of those nutrients that cause a lot of problems.
I grew up on Cobbessy, and it seemed like end of August, the lake would start to turn green. That wasn't necessarily an algae bloom, but the lake would always turn as the water warmed up and, the tides turned. And, but some lakes around here are known more for, different water quality and major algae blooms. And a lot of them, it has to do with the farmland around them and big lawns.
Right. And so you have internal loading and external loading. So internal is what's already there, the sediment from years and, 100 years ago of farmers all around the lake. agrarian fertilizers and, the manure, everything that flushes into the lake and it settles on the bottom. So if you don't, and then when you add, the rainwater that comes in and flushes in, we flush in and we flush out. We have water coming in and water coming out. Unlike East Pond, who had algae blooms for 20 years, and they did an alum treatment. So right now, North Pond's in the middle of water quality analysis, collecting data with the lake scientists from Seven Lakes Alliance and Colby College. And we have a year to go before we can be considered for remediation, if that's the way to go.
Yeah, East Pond was quite a success story. It's good to see that. So it gives all these other lakes and ponds around hope. If people don't know, East Pond, 3 years ago, they did the alum treatment about?
Yep.
And East Pond has a high density of kids camps and, homes, and they all pitched in. Colby College pitched in, the state pitched in, and they tried an alum treatment. And when we were there last summer, you could see right to the bottom. You would have never have known you used to have a problem. And then
my husband and I canoed out from the Serpentine and went, because you can get there from our village, and we went around one of the islands, and it was just beautiful. And I'm so happy for them, because for years when I worked in Kamatoka, it was like, oh, please wait till after the kids leave to bloom.
Sure. And
but it's
at the camp as well, we saw firsthand the process, what they're doing now. They had a very involved survey done for the landscaping. We had to be very cautious about keeping it watered, and it was all about soil retention and, keeping that stuff out of the lake and doing landscaping.
It's called a watershed-based management plan.
Yeah,
so we're a protection plan now, and we're working on raising the $30,000 to become a watershed-based management plan on our lake.
Well,
and that means we qualify for federal grants, DEP, EPA. It's a lot to it, but talking about it, it's kind of simple, and the number one thing is for people to become more lake smart and savvy. Don't mow your lawn all the way to the edge of the water.
Mm-hmm.
That's easy to do. We just let the plants grow. Just don't mow and don't weed whack.
Yeah.
It's really
what are some other tips you can give camp owners?
Just keep planting plants.
Yeah.
Dig up some plants from home, bring them. Share plants, indigenous plants like blueberries, anything with long roots. You can go to the North Pond Association Facebook page. You can go to northpondmaine.org, and we have ideas for everybody. Maine Lakes, which is the banner behind me, you can go to mainelakes.me, and they actually run the Lake Smart program in the state of Maine. The DEP used to, MDIF&W, I think the DEP, and they gave it to the Maine Lakes. And it's so important for people to be aware that their actions cause reactions, and it's not always, the lake reacts to no buffer. Yeah. We have people, anyway, it's always good to, I don't want to pick on anybody.
And you guys are doing a good job promoting it now. And before COVID, you guys are doing workshops. Where can people?
Well, we did Zoom last year. We had twice as many people. So, and we did, we did a little bit of live stuff. I taped a couple things and we played it on the Zoom. So it's called Are You Buff Enough? Workshop, How to Become Lake Smarter.
Yeah.
And we also have a Rap and Loons did a Are You Buff Enough rap. It's pretty funny. You can probably hear it in Maine Lakes. It's hilarious.
Couple rapping loons.
Yeah, that's what we called ourselves. And what can you do when the lake's not blue? Do you stand on shore and cry boo-hoo? And then it tells you not to rake, leave your duff, don't blow your leaves away, because all of that catches the rainwater. Mm-hmm. So when I talked to you, Ryan, I was like, oh my goodness. I said, you guys need me.
Yeah.
No, and it's good for you guys, because then you're going to be more aware. And I'm glad that you were on East Pond, because Mel Croft, I know, is one of the Lake Smart coordinators over there, and they're very involved. And I think Ed Cornwall, the camp that you did, he's on the board there, and because we're in Smithfield too, and they're in Smithfield as well. So
all of our projects, we're very involved with DEP and permit by rule. Since we're that close to the water, we're always filling those out, and there's a lot of paperwork involved with that, and questions, and measurements and counting, and a lot of it has to do with what's there, what soil you're dealing with, how many trees you have. How do you guys differ from that, or how can you guys add to that program for homeowners? Because a lot of homeowners are familiar with the DEP and the tree stuff.
Right. So we usually, each town, we all have a shoreline zoning ordinance. Each town can interpret that the way that they want to. Smithfield actually, before it was mandatory for everybody to go by it, we actually did it ahead of time because we could. And, you have to be like, we built a new camp here. I was 6 feet from the water, and you have to move as far back as practical. Mm-hmm. And because we have our well drilled behind us and our gas tank was behind us, we went 32 feet back. So now we have a front lawn, yeah. Which is great for badminton and such. But so you have these rules and regulations that you have to abide by, and you talk to your CEO. But if you want free labor, the Youth Conservation Corps through Seven Lakes Alliance in Central Maine, there are conservation corps all over the state. They do the permitting. You pay for the permitting and the materials, and they come to your place. You can either have a LakeSmart site survey, or the Youth Conservation Corps leaders come and they do a site visit, and they make recommendations. You don't have to do them, but it's free. The labor is free. We like donations, of course, but that's
our kind of deal right there.
Right? Yeah. Now, so, you guys could have the Youth Conservation Corps come to one of your sites, for one of your Cabin Master episodes, and they would do all the work, and all the permitting would be done, and you'd be LakeSmart.
Put a hammer in the hand. Now, how do our listeners do? Do they go to the town, or they go to the state website for that program?
You actually right here, www.lakes.maine.
Okay.
And you could do lakesmart.org or LakeSmart. Yeah. It will all go to Maine Lakes. Yeah. And they're wonderful there. We all kind of work together, Seven Lakes Alliance, all of the lake associations. I'm working with George's Pond in Franklin, Maine right now, because they just did the whole thing that we're going to be going through. East Pond did it, helped them, and now they're going to help us with our fundraising organization and things like that. So that, this is going to be an iffy summer. We're already 40 degrees today on the lake.
It's beautiful today.
We have 1,000 ice fishermen out here, and people are emailing me how thick is the ice? I'm like, geez, you know what? I don't have time to go out. So, so I try to have people check in with me.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that I got you guys to be, are you buff enough?
Are you buff enough? I feel like I'm working out all the time.
That's right.
Now, some lakes are known for blooms and some aren't. And is it different areas of the state, or is it just the land that's around? Or
I don't want to say that it's climate change, but the warmer last year was like the hottest summer. We had little rain.
Yeah.
We had that huge drought. So our lake this fall, I had a beach and I could walk out 3 feet, and we have never, ever been able to. I've been here for 30 years in this spot, and I've never been able to do that before. So when we got the deluge of rain before this fall, and then at Christmas, people were like, we've never had it this low, and the dam's wide open. And I was like, Mother Nature will take care of it. But 1 year we had an extremely horrible 3-day wind event in November, and winter started in November, so it was the longest one ever. And so we had trees fall down, and then we had big winds all spring and early summer, and that causes the waves are crashing on the shorelands, the erosion, that soil is going back into the water, and planting those plants with those deep roots and having the riprap along the shoreline really does help. Mm-hmm. And there's going to be before and after pictures. And if anybody goes online, they can find, go to Maine Lakes, you can go to LakeSmart, Seven Lakes Alliance. Every lake association will have, this is how you become LakeSmart. Maggie Shannon was the big push behind that. So she was amazing.
A lot of people, unfortunately, want the big lawn and the grass and all that. So what do you tell that person? How do you change that person?
It's true. People come up here and
we've all been guilty of it.
Yeah, they have their image in their mind. That's what they want.
Yeah, you don't want to be stubbing your toes on roots and rocks. We deal with that. But so what do you tell those people that are kind of that mindset?
Well, so for instance, if somebody bought a camp like that and say I was out in a kayak and they were outside, Okay, just so, because I would never go
All
up
right,
and say, hey.
Chase and I are out in front of our camp. We got nice lawn, and we're putting
I'd
the
say,
chemicals
hey,
to
you
it.
have a cold one? I would, somehow we'd start a conversation. I'd be like, oh, you're new at the lake, and, I'd love to stop by and share a few things with you. And, this is a really long, big, vast area, and rain gardens, and which is, just a depression, and you put plants in it and the water settles there, so it's not going down. When you have low spots on your lawn, you beautify it. Have you ever, may I make a suggestion?
Yeah.
Have you ever thought of maybe planting some beautiful plants? And, keep a walkway. And your root problem, when you guys have root problems, because you're in a pine area, put down wood chips, and you have infiltration steps, and you meander down to the water, the shore of the water. And hey, a Lake Smart visit is free. Can I sign you up for one? Give me your phone number and I'll scratch it in my kayak and I'll give you guys a call.
All right.
You know what I mean? That's, and the information, we can't force people to do this stuff. And my newsletter is called North Pond News that I write.
Yeah.
And some of my directors have written articles because we're trying to educate everybody. We have 350 camps around our lake and about 100 members. Yeah. So we would love to have 100% participation. Nobody will do that, but they'll donate money, and we'll be asking for 2% of the tax valuation of their camps. And in the long run, you're going to have a lake that, for generations will last. And no, it doesn't discriminate. It's all over the state of Maine. Yeah. It's all over the country. I just actually tore out the color of rivers are changing. Oh. And they're blaming that on people. Humans are think about the COVID summer. We got 10 million people on this lake. We're not very big.
We're kind of like black flies on the planet Earth,
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Get out of here.
Well, I think you guys are doing the right thing, Start with education. Don't be pushy. And once someone that moves to the area, buys a property, goes through one of these, then they're going to remember what you said to them, and then it's going to spark their interest again. Because you really got to experience it too, to see how the quality changes.
It's true, and you can see lakes where it works. I put a welcome packet. If I know a property has been sold, I'll bring a North Pond Association welcome packet, and it'll have, become a member. Here's a remit envelope. Here's all the information about Lake Smart and are you buff enough workshops, and, give us a call. And it is all about chatting about it, education. And I appreciate you, Ryan, for taking the moment to chat with me that night, because it really, I just said, this is going to mean so much for the people of Maine and the U.S. This happens in Wisconsin and Minnesota, everywhere.
Yeah, well, so we've learned in the hard way that education is a good thing,
Yes.
So if you're a lake and you have an association, or you want to be able to have people become Lake Smart, you can actually get an award, and it's a sign that says Lake Smart Award. Yeah. Maybe on East Pond, you guys might have seen some of those when you're paddling around. A lot of people get those.
I'm familiar with them on different lakes, and that brings up a good point that a lot of different lakes have their own association. So if you have your own camp in Maine, or if you're traveling to a camp in Maine, look around and ask around. A lot of lakes do have these local organizations, and you might learn some cool stuff. I know Friends of Cobbessy Watershed has a cool little program for kids that, if you're in the area traveling, you might be able to get on that. There's a lot of good stuff. It's all about education.
Yeah, we do educational things. We get a grant from the Borman Foundation, and we have the Melinda Ann science boat come on our lake every other summer or so that kids can actually use aquascopes and do plant identification and just learn with some of the underwater thing, just because they make it fun. And people want to educate the kids, because guess what? Without the kids knowing, I was talking to Jen earlier because she grew up on East Pond. And I said, she was telling me her parents, she goes, I know this, and this, and I feel so, and I said, oh my gosh, my poor boys know so much stuff. I used to make them go to every program with me, and you're going to do this. And
that's right. Yeah, start them early.
It is good. It actually is wonderful, because they need to know. Yeah.
What incited this passion for the lakes in you, and how long has it been going? Because you're very passionate about this.
Oh,
you're known for this.
Cheryl, well, my neighbor Cheryl. Sorry, what?
Oh, just tell us how you got started and where your passion came from.
So my neighbor Cheryl was the president for a couple of years, and she got it to be a 501c3. I was just coming up for summers because we were living out of state for a while and always had our camp. And she said, you'd do really well, and I really want you to write our newsletter, because as a teacher, she's like, you'd be great at it. And I was like, oh, okay. She announces she's resigning at the meeting. And I was like, I don't want to do this.
She played you.
And then we just had a great, she did. And she said, not sorry.
Well played.
Not sorry. Yeah. And so great group of people. We really, I write grants for us and try to get, Skevington Savings Bank is great for giving us money for, we have one of the only best management practices displays in the area, and it's behind our Grange Hall, Fairview Grange, here in Smithfield, and I can see it from here. And we have, display of rain garden and the infiltration steps.
Oh, cool.
Rhoda Grant and Lynch Landscaping put a porous paver walkway so that people can walk down to and they can land there on our dock and come up, and they can see all the buffer plants we've planted. And it's a really great learning tool for people. Yeah. We have a rain barrel, for runoff in the trench, just the drip trench on the side of the Grange Hall. So we encourage people to come over and look at it on their own, but we also give tours. And when you do the Are You Buffing Up workshop, you get to see all of that. And it's one of those things where we just give and give and give, but we don't want to turn people off. So we try to do things like the Wrap and Loons wrap.
I love it.
Get creative.
We put this out on the internet and get a bunch of questions for you. Before we go to questions, we got to hear something about the North Pond Hermit, because being on North Pond, people are going to ask us, why didn't you say anything? And I know you don't want to hear that, but
no, it's okay. I actually know more than most people know. We were on the opposite side of the lake from where he was, but boy, oh boy, what a story, huh?
Do you believe it's 100% true? He was out there for the full 20.
I have to tell you that I actually got to meet with him, and yes.
And
I'm just saying.
Give us a quick synopsis for our listeners that don't know about this phenomenon.
Okay, so Christopher Knight is his name, and he decided that he was just leaving home. He graduated from high school, and for 27 years, he said, okay, this is what I'm going to do. And it just kind of happened for him. And, and he built a camp.
Yeah.
And he would go around the lake and mostly walked and hiked and stepped on rocks. So we never had one certain trail or path to his site, and used to steal. He was a thief. Yeah. And he would try to only take things that were useful to him. And, some people would leave bags of books and food outside so that he wouldn't break in. And, there's probably going to be a movie.
It's quite a phenomenal story that our listeners can look into it more, but it's called the North Pond Hermit. And over that many years, people learned to leave stuff out or leave the door unlocked, because he wasn't malicious. He wasn't breaking stuff. He was just surviving. And he literally survived for 27 years. And I think he was only seen once or twice.
Actually, he said he wasn't seen at all, except one time. And he came face to face with one of our director's sons was walking down the staircase, and he thought everybody had left. And that he said that was his words, were that was the only time he saw anyone, was at that time. And I actually helped organize with the DEP to have his site cleaned up from all the propane tanks and all of the batteries, because we didn't want that. There was a little stream there, and we didn't want that stuff to get into the lake. So it's quite a fascinating story. And, I believe that he has acclimated back to regular life, and he's on track, and he was very remorseful. I don't want people to think that he was all, I'm doing this, I'm getting away with anything, but he was
surviving.
That's the one time when it was folklore, when folklore actually became true.
Listen, we would be like, that's got to be this guy. It's got to be
Mr. Smith down there.
It's a veteran. It's a veteran.
Joe's kids.
Right. We used to talk about it all the time. And it's pretty. It was, literally, like across the lake, right there was his big hot spot.
It's like.
Yeah, he would get caught on camera, but there was no footage because for 27 years, he didn't look anything like he looked back then.
Yeah.
So everybody's like, do you recognize this guy? And they're like, no.
After the story came out, I think about the times I drove back to Farmington in college and snowstorms and 20 below, and to think that he was out there every single time.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
He should have gone on.
Yeah, I'm not going to say too much. I'm not going to say too much because I do want people to look it up themselves. But he was lake smart.
Yep. That's awesome.
he was, wood smart, lake smart.
He was very smart.
Street smart.
Yeah.
He was
lightly. Smart. Live lightly on the land so that you can protect the lake. It's like.
I like it.
So we do have a few questions from fans for you. Okay. Noe's going to read those to you.
All right. The first one's from Brenda Wright. It says, what are the best plants to have on the edge of a river or lake to help prevent erosion, but won't overtake the area?
We really like you to use indigenous plants, and we really highly recommend high bush blueberry bushes. And that way you get fruits, the birds come, the animals come. Hostas are great. There's a whole, like cone flowers.
Are rhododendrons indigenous? Do you know?
I do not believe that they are.
No. We're having a rhododendron battle. The 3 camps we just started, there's rhododendrons everywhere, and I love to keep stuff away from the foundations, but
cut them away. Those things
not a rhododendron.
Get rid of them.
Chase and I have learned to coexist.
That's right.
With each other, so it's
agree
going
to
well.
disagree.
Now, as far as
actually. University of Maine Extension, University of Maine Cooperative Extension has a whole list of indigenous plants that have great roots. And if you go to North Pond Association Facebook page, I actually have a ton of pictures. I try to rotate different pictures I get and put them on there so people can start planning for the spring. And, black-eyed Susans are great.
Yeah.
Shasta daisies are great. Anything. Just create a big butterfly garden.
All right, the second question's from Mike McDavitt. It says, what are the rules for cutting trees and limbs in close proximity to the water?
If you don't talk to your code enforcement officer first, you're going to end up with fines because they have to be a certain diameter around, and they have to be a certain, if it's 100 feet or more away, you usually don't have to worry. If you're thinking your tree is dead, contact your CEO. You're going to always win and not get in trouble if you talk to your code enforcement officer. That's the person who enforces the shoreline zoning ordinance.
Yeah. And it's not to say it can't be done, but you just ask first.
Correct.
Ask
first.
We
had it when we moved ours back. We had a tree that had fallen like 40 years before I bought the place, and it fell like an elbow. And then it grew up. So it was actually like this. And it was the most amazing tree. And the pileated woodpeckers started coming. And then the fire department burned our house down. I said, save my lilac bush. I'll let you burn it down. And they saved it. And when I came back, my tree was gone. But the DEP guy said, you got to get rid of it. It's going to fall on your house. And I was like, that was the only reason I cried that day. But anyway, just ask. Never do it first and then say sorry, because if you cut some down, you're going to have to plant a lot more trees than what you cut down.
We always say it's better to ask for forgiveness and beg for permission, but not when DEP's involved.
That's true. Not with code enforcement.
Not in code enforcement. If it's an acronym involved, it doesn't. It doesn't apply.
Yeah. Right. Exactly.
All right. So Dean Martin asked, "How
Mary Lewis."
How do septic systems affect local lakes? And how can we raise awareness about seasonal septic systems?
I love Dean Martin right now so much, because that is one thing I've always wanted to write a grant for, is for people to help them pay for a septic inspection. And right now in the state of Maine, you have to, if you're going to sell your camp, you have to have your septic inspected before you can sell it, and it has to pass. So my advice, especially for around my lake, you need to have every 3 to 5 years, you should have your septic tank pumped. If you have a holding tank, obviously you're going to get it pumped whenever it's full, which we prefer that to leach fields around the lake. So many. I have a picture of the holding tank literally is a buoy from the ocean. And there were 3 on my road on North Shore Drive. And they got pulled out because the guy is building a camp and it's sitting there. And I took several pictures of it because I need people to see it. It's a literal buoy with 3 or 4 holes in it. And that was their septic. That is all around everybody's lakes, everywhere in the state of Maine. And yes, you really need to inspect your septic and update it. It's worth it in the long run. You don't want to be that guy. Don't be that
guy. Be Dean Martin instead. Any other questions?
Yep. Our third question is from Anna McFarland. It says, I know people who go down to the lake to bathe and wash their hair.
Oh.
Is it bad?
It's bad if the soap they're using has phosphate or phosphorus in it. When you're at a lake and you see those foamy bubbles, have you guys ever?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's phosphorus. That's phosphorus, and it's caused when the waves happen and it bubbles up. That's phosphates. So there are millions. Like if you make your own soap, use that. There are tons and tons and tons of options out there because some people. I don't recommend anybody use the lake to bathe in, but people do it anyway.
Dr. Bronner's is probably the most popular and most famous. Is that correct or not? No?
I don't know. I make my own soap, so I don't know.
I thought it was.
I think you made that up. Ryan, you made that up.
Oh, I got a question for you. Everyone says you can use Dawn because they clean the birds in the oil spills with it. You never heard that one?
Dawn is probably... No, I think that's probably bad for the lake.
If you're made out of porcelain.
Don't use Dawn. If we have an oil spill on your lake, use Dawn.
Hey, you don't have to worry about me. I don't shower anyway, so we're all good.
Listen, I've been around you. I know. I've been in close proximity.
Okay, our final question is from Jennifer Schmidt, and it says, I see a lot of people with rocks lining their shorelines. What is this for, and is it something we should all be doing to our lakefront properties?
I love her. I love her.
We get great questions.
That's called riprap, and
not a loon wrap.
Not hip hop.
Not a loon wrap, right?
No,
riprap. Okay.
Okay. I think that Maine Lakes.me is going to actually put that on their site. So you guys need to listen to it.
Okay, we will.
I helped create that. I'm one of the loons. Anyway, that's called riprap. And like if say you hired the Youth Conservation Corps, they would get the permitting for that. They'd measure out how many rocks you need. They dump the load. The kids come, high school and college kids, and they wheelbarrow it and carry them and they stack them on the edge. This is to help prevent erosion. I have lost 4 feet before I did my 3rd batch of rocks over the 30 years I've owned this property. I mean, because I have giant rocks that are showing. Mm-hmm. Now they're not because I have it covered. So those are really important. If you see you have trees along your shoreline and you have roots showing and there's like an indent where the mink can live and the muskrats can live, you really want to let them live in between the rocks now. Yeah. And that it's everybody on North Shore Drive right now on my road on North Pond has done this. And it's neighbor improving their property. The Joneses want to improve theirs. The Smiths want to improve theirs. It's all about talking to your neighbors and what's important for your lake.
Cool.
That's a great question.
There's a lot of information here.
Yeah, those were really good questions.
Really good questions.
Thank you so much, people.
And a lot of good websites to go to. So people have a lot of rabbit holes to go down to learn a lot more about this topic.
Yes.
Look, this is the lake right here.
Well, thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, thank you, Jodie.
No, thank you guys for having me on, and I really appreciate the opportunity. And if you guys ever need me to come and show you some lake smart things you can do around a cabin, just let me know.
Perfect.
I can make myself available.
Awesome.
Because I always have to ask you, are you buff enough?
Yeah, we're working on it.
Yeah, we're working on it. We're working on it.
When I see you guys again at the Woodshed,
we'll be buff. Perfect.
I'm going to ask you. Thank you guys so much for the opportunity.
Thank you very much.
Have a great afternoon.
Bye.
Jodie knows her stuff, doesn't she?
Yes, she does. And it's great to have people like her because, they make sure the lakes are well maintained and clean and stay usable.
Yeah, and check out all those websites she mentioned, and you can find it on our sites as well. And just do your research because a lot of good information out there.
For sure. All right, so Nori has some questions from everybody for Ryan and I. Again, thank you for the questions. Keep them coming. Podcast@mainecabinmasters.com if you want to ask a question. And Maggie, Nori, somebody will.
One of the kids will ask us questions.
That's right. Get it answered for you.
All right, so the first question comes from Stephanie. She was wondering if the cabin owners get to keep the home furnishing.
Good question. And that's changed as we've progressed.
Yes.
A lot has changed since we progressed.
Yes. Season 1,
Season 1 was weird.
We were pulling chairs and stuff out of hotel rooms that the
literally.
film crew was staying in to stage with.
Out of our own houses. I get so mad at Ashley because she'd take something from my house and it would never come back.
Never come back.
I'm still missing a bar stool. From season 4, I let her take a bar stool and still didn't get Ashley.
Yeah.
If you're watching this.
But now Ashley and her design team have a budget that they work with. They definitely use a lot that the camp owners had into the camp or have available, again, to make it feel like it's their own.
And let's face it, you're always picking.
Yep.
And one phenomenon is people are bringing us stuff. Like Dixie's parents, my friend's parents, people calling us. People know that we don't throw stuff away and they don't want to see the stuff go to the landfill. So we've kind of acquired stuff. It's kind of taken on its life of its own.
It really has.
It's pretty cool.
So yes, most everything does stay. There may be 1 or 2 pieces that will have to be pulled out, but for the most part.
And remember season 1, there was a really, really small budget. And then they would go through the homeowner afterwards. Lisa would have to ask the homeowner, okay, this is this much if you want to keep it. It's just the way it works when you're a new show.
Yeah.
And it was kind of awkward and weird. Like, okay, you love your camp now. Do you want to pay for this? Pay for this. But with continued success in seasons, it's gotten easier. So,
yep.
Good question, though.
All right, so our next question comes from Sarah. She said, what type of wood do you use for plank floors? I love the color and the knots, and I am hoping we can install some in our vacation home.
Fantastic
There's
question.
only one answer to that.
Eastern white pine.
Beautiful, inexpensive, easy to get Eastern white pine.
Yep. And, it is. It's beautiful. It's easy, but everybody needs to know that it's a soft wood. It's going to get marred up. It's going to get scratched. It's going to look worn in pretty quick.
It's going to get character.
Yes, but that's just it. It gives you that character camp look. You can get shiplap. You can get V-match. You can get wide, skinny, you name it. You can, angle nail it so you don't see the nails. You can screw it and plug it.
We just do it like what you call ghetto style. We just face nail it. It looks great.
Yep.
One thing that we showcase is people kind of overthink stuff. Everything had to be hardwood floor and perfect and no face nails. And a lot of people that like our show, that love our floors, probably 5 years ago said, I would never buy a software. I would never face nail it. But it doesn't look bad. You get 10 or 12 years out of it polyed, then throw some paint on it. It can last you forever.
Well, and I think a lot of that, too, is coming from us going in and demoing these camps. We're pulling out floors that are, 100 years old. It's face nailed. It's pine. It's beat up. And
it looks beautiful.
Yeah. It just may be so cut up, but we can also pull it out and use it for something else, accent wall or frame or anything, really.
I was guilty of not being a pine floor guy for a long time.
Oh, yeah.
Back in my fancy period.
Absolutely. And we still, we've done a couple of floors where it's the wide oak plank floors.
Yep.
And again, though, we just, pre-drill it, face screw it. It's nothing, it's rustic.
That's one way. How do you save the budgets? That question always comes up. Pine is more, it's inexpensive compared to these hardwoods, and it's beautiful. We find ways to use pine to achieve, some of these other looks, and it looks great.
Yep.
All right, Matt said, do you have any ideas to insulate and close off under a high exposed pier and beam cabin? I'm located in Alaska, where it is extremely cold.
I think there's 2 schools of thought really on this. You can either.
What school are you going to?
I'm going to insulate under the floor.
All right, I'll go to school of hard knocks.
But a lot you can either do a skirting, insulate that, and
I agree with you. We got to insulate on the floor, but I hate the wind going through it.
That also.
So maybe in skirting you could just break it up with plywood or.
But I think you could probably skirt it not insulate the skirting.
That's what I'm saying.
Insulate the floor.
Yep.
But there are people who believe you could put up your skirting and insulate that.
Which we've done.
And your ambient temperature of the ground is enough to,
keep it warm.
It won't be necessarily as warm, but it's one way to go as well.
And, one of our biggest tricks for skirting is metal roofing. We love it. We buy just sheets of metal roofing, cut it, to contour the ground. Critters can't get through it. It works great. Leave yourself a hatch.
Yeah, we need some more. We're
getting
bone dry.
If anyone has the old metal roofs they want to get rid of, call us.
Or just drop it off like everybody else.
We actually had to buy some today for a project.
Lovely. Jake was wondering, do you guys do other jobs besides cabins? I have a big piece of property in central Maine that I would love to build my forever home on. It would be a year-round house, but I'd love it to have a cabin feel.
We do some. We'd love to do more.
We'd love to do more, but short answer is no.
Yeah, we can't do houses.
No.
When was the last time? We haven't built a new house in a long time.
I think yours was the last one.
Yeah. And I built very little of that.
Yeah.
Oh, we can't talk about that. But house, yes. We pick up some small projects here and there. We just had a nice break, so we did a quick project for the Manchester Fire Department.
Yep.
But mostly between the show and maintenance on us and helping out friends or family, there's not a lot of time for that. Someday down the road, I'd love to have a new house camp division. So.
Yeah,
keep watching. Don't hold your breath.
Right. We get requests all the time for doing new construction for the show, but it just doesn't fit the format, because the show really needs that. So what they'll do is they'll take a camera, called a Ronin, and it's got a gyroscope, and so they'll zoom in. They'll move the camera in certain directions in the old camp, and then they recreate. They mimic that same shot in the new camp, and that's really a big part of what the show is. So they almost need that.
Yeah.
Before and after for the format the show is now. It's not to say it's impossible, but for the most part, it's
not possible.
It's not possible.
Okay, and Cindy wanted to know, what is the one tool you can't live without?
Oh, I was gonna say, for me now, it's the multi-tool. That has just changed but you'd have to say hammer, wouldn't you, if you're a carpenter?
Well, yeah,
a trick question.
But that's besides the
obvious.
I would say the impact driver.
That's pretty damn good.
I would be so sad if I didn't have one of those.
Or having the phone right there to answer stuff is pretty easy. I love my old Stare app. My Stare
look stuff up.
Yeah,
I looked up today. What's the best way to cut plexiglass?
What did they say?
Score both sides. I was like, okay.
And it snapped it.
Yeah.
Did it work?
Yeah. But I couldn't remember if you have to score one. With glass, you only have to do one. But so phone is pretty essential these days.
Yeah.
As hard as it is to admit that.
Impact driver, multi-tool, which we call the Wawa.
Yep.
That's what it sounds like.
Besides the hammer and all that stuff.
Impact drive is nice.
What would be your most essential tool, Nori?
Hammer.
AirPods?
Oh, you love your AirPods.
Mine are broken, so I don't use them anymore.
Do a couple more of these, maybe buy a new set.
Maybe.
Well, those are good questions.
Yeah, those were great.
Keep them coming.
Absolutely.
Podcast at mainecabinmasters.com.
Yeah, and we'll try to get it answered. So we've got this new Kennebec Land Trust hiking guide. It's a yearly, might be every few years. Kennebec Land Trust puts out a hiking guide for all the different properties and hiking trails they have in the area. We worked with Kennebec Land Trust in the past a lot. We did the Wakefield property. So we're a sponsor of the trail guide, and we are now selling these in the store and I believe online.
Cool. Oh, there we are. Kennebec Cabin Company right there. Nice.
Yeah. So again, it just shows different hikes and areas that are available to the public around the area. And it's a great thing to have. It's great to support the land trusts, and there's different land trusts all over the state, all over the country. So
there's really a lot of good hiking around here. In the last 15 to 20 years, mainly with the help of Kennebec Land Trust, it's really taken off.
Yep. And it doesn't have to be a mountain hike. There's a great one down Androscoggin where you just walk trails down to the river and just beautiful areas.
Yeah, take advantage of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like Ashley says, go take a hike, Ryan.
And now we're up to last week's trivia question. Maggie's not here to answer it, but Nori has a question in front of her. Ask the question again.
All right. So the question was, lobsters are measured between what 2 points?
Your dad said A and B the other day. I think
in between their eyes and their
mandible. No, what's it called?
It's that first shell.
Yeah, like the first thick piece, and then it gets the ribby, like
thorax.
All right. So the answer was the eye socket to the base of the tail.
Base of all right, base of the tail.
Yeah.
Going
Who
that
eats
way.
the eyes, Fletcher?
It's tradition in our family to always eat the eyes.
Eat the eyes, and Fletcher loves them. He'll trade you.
You've eaten some eyes, Nori.
I've eaten them, but I wouldn't do it now.
Fletcher will trade like a claw for an eye. I'm like, any day, buddy. So one thing I wanted to bring up is from now on, like when the podcast is on, we ask this next question. People were like, when we were doing it in the comments, but send your answer ASAP to podcast@mainecabinmasters.com. First person, sorry, Jen, there's going to be a lot of emails, but first person that gets it in by time wins.
Perfect.
It makes it easier because I was on the last couple of Monday nights.
Yes.
Trying to figure out. And Christine S. keeps winning, so Christine will get a level playing field.
Well,
hold on, we're getting some technical.
Send her information.
Yeah, Christine S. please send us your information. We are still waiting for it at podcast@mainecabinmasters.com.
All right, and Nori has picked out this week's trivia question.
Okay. What loud, pronounced sound is made by female black ducks and mallards?
I'm not even going to say anything on this one. Oh, my mind's going places.
So again,
we leave you on some great Maine thoughts for next week.
Yes. Well, thanks, Nori, for joining us.
Nori, I think you
My
did an
pleasure.
excellent job.
You did an
Thank
excellent
you.
job giving Maggie a run for her money.
Yep.
And thank you, everybody, for tuning in again. Thank you to our guest, Jodie Mosher-Towle. And thank you to our sponsors, Nelma, Hero Media Arts, and Hammond Lumber Company. From the Woodshed, we'll be talking to you.
Nice, Nori.